Close your eyes and imagine a hospital. You're likely picturing white tiles, the hum of high-tech monitors, and the smell of antiseptic. But in 1854, a hospital was a place you went to die, not to get better. In the barracks of Scutari during the Crimean War, the floors were slick with sewage. There were no beds, just damp straw. Rats scurried over the bodies of soldiers, men who had survived Russian bayonets only to be eaten alive by cholera and gangrene. The air was so thick with the stench of decay that doctors often vomited just walking through the door. Into this literal hell on earth stepped a woman who shouldn't have been there. She was wealthy, she was brilliant, and she was told by everyone in Victorian society to stay home and be a proper lady. Her name was Florence Nightingale. Florence wasn't born into tragedy, she was born into luxury. Named after the Italian city of her birth, she was a socialite. She was expected to marry a charming suitor, host tea parties, and be a decorative ornament in a drawing room. But Florence had what she called a call from God. She didn't want a husband, she wanted a purpose.
She spent her nights secretly studying blue books of hospital statistics by candlelight. When she finally told her parents she wanted to be a nurse, a job then reserved for the lowly and the drunk, the Crimean War broke out and the British public learned that their soldiers were rotting in filth. She leveraged her high society connections to lead a team of 38 nurses into the heart of the conflict. When she arrived at Scutari, the male doctors were insulted. They didn't want a woman telling them how to run a war hospital.
So Florence waited. She knew she couldn't win with a frontal assault, so she used strategy. She didn't just nurse, she managed. She used her own money to buy scrub brushes.
She overhauled the kitchen so men were eating actual food instead of raw meat.
But here is what made her a genius: data. Florence Nightingale was a pioneer of statistics. She realized that for every soldier killed by a bullet, 7 were dying of disease. She showed that cleanliness wasn't just a womanly preference, it was a matter of national security. Within 6 months of her arrival, the mortality rate at Scutari plummeted from 42% to just 2%. But stats only tell half the story. The soldiers didn't love her for her pie chart. They loved her because when the doctors went to bed and the lights went out, Florence stayed.
She would walk 4 miles of corridors every single night.
She carried a small Turkish lantern, its soft glow the only light in a sea of darkness. As she passed, soldiers would reach out to kiss her shadow on the wall. They called her the Lady with the Lamp. She was the first person to treat these men like human beings instead of war material.
She sat with those who had no one. She proved that medicine without compassion is just mechanics. Florence returned from the war a hero, but she spent